Hello guys and welcome to today's video. Today is going to consist of in-season MLS players that I deem are good value or fair value. So let's jump straight into it. So the first of the defensive picks I've gone for Justin Glad here of Real Salt Lake. Now currently if you're interested in the limited it is just at £5 and here for rare he is sitting at 23. I feel like maybe these prices are slightly inflated because I am recording this on the Friday night, which is the game week lock. So in which case a lot of people probably will FOMO trying to buy players and things like that at the last minute. So obviously do take that in mind. These players could go down, hopefully for you guys if you are interested in the next couple of days, but obviously they can as well go up. So obviously do your own research and make sure that you go for a price that you deem fair. But obviously in my opinion for Justin Glad for the £23 for the rare and £5 limited, I think it's really solid for the sort of scores he puts up. Now obviously they're not mind-boggling, they're not in the the high 80s 90s etc, but considering where RSL are and they're conceding quite a few goals at the moment, he's putting up some really decent AA here. Even if we maybe look over the last 6 months, he's hitting 13.2 worth of AA, had a last man tackle or clearance off the line, which is nice, but as you can see probably in these games they're not really getting all too many clean sheets. Obviously he's been rested in between midweeks, which is the CONCACAF Champions League for RSL, which they are now out of, so it's something you don't have to worry about now. But yeah, I think in regards to his scores, they're solid. Obviously he doesn't need to really rely on a clean sheet, and yeah, for a cheap defender, just obviously throw into your team if you are looking for someone like this, I think Justin Glad's probably a good start. Another defender for you guys is going to be that of Eric Sviatchenko here of Houston Dynamo, sitting at just £6 at the moment in the in-season limited, and just about £30 in the rare scarcity, again all in season, which is really nice I feel, considering the prices are fairly inflated, and I think they're going to be probably for the next week or two. So obviously take that in mind. Now he had a DMP obviously to start, and if you see my road to glory, obviously this sort of screwed me over a little bit, so make sure to go check that out guys if you can. That'd be greatly appreciated, and drop a like on the video while you can please. But yeah, I think in regards to his scores, obviously we saw just beforehand with Justin Glad just being about what 5 to 10 quid cheaper. If you've got the budget to be able to push, and this obviously rare by the way, 5% cheaper, only about 50p a pound cheaper in limited. So again, it's whether or not you deem this sort of guy, if you deem him that more expensive. I would say he's more worthwhile. I think he's a better defender than Justin Glad, and in a team that is a bit more defensively astute as well. They are playing into Miami. He's meant to be starting because he had apparently a slight knock, so he's meant to be I think a 60%, 50% starter, I think, according to Sorare on Sorare Inside. So yeah, I think again very solid output from this guy, hitting plenty of top scores there all of last season, even despite some losses and games that he's conceding quite a few goals, he's still putting up a nice decent amount of AA. Actually when he starts is about 14.5 over the last year, and 15.5 over the last 6 months, obviously going back into last season as well. So yeah, again, deemed a very solid player in my eyes. Now I've got Franco Escobar here. Now obviously Sviatchenko is part of Houston, and now the reason I've got Escobar because I feel like his prices are low because his L5 isn't the best, and I feel like a lot of new players and players who just sort of try to FOMO in look for those players with the green bars in the L5 slot, obviously in Sorare. So I feel like that's probably one of the reasons. Obviously another reason is he also did not start last game. Apparently is due to another little knock from what I remember, but again he's meant to be starting. He is basically the main left back. I think it's Steres that they used before the other day, and he didn't do any good, as you can see there in the 2-1 loss. So hopefully he gets his starting spot back there, and it looks likely according to the Sorare data online projections, which I probably would take with a pinch of salt because I don't trust that all too much. But according to Sorare Inside with Deke again, I believe he's meant to be like an 80% starter or 70% starter. So again, doesn't matter to you all too much if he starts or doesn't this week. I think eventually is that he's meant to be the main man at left back, as well as Sviatchenko there as centre back. So again, a nice little duo to choose from. I feel like Escobar does score better, and yeah, more consistently I think than Sviatchenko. Sviatchenko's more in the 70s 80s role. or score, I should say. Whereas obviously Escobar can peak a lot more, as you can see there, the late 80s, 90s, and even 100, cheeky 100 there. So yeah, again, I've got him in classic. He is someone I'm eyeing up at the moment in season. And I just thought I'd just show you guys him. But yeah, really solid player in the left back slot, and yeah, maybe really good for you to use for the remainder of the season. Oh, and also just before I forget, he is £11.75 in the limited, and also in the rare, obviously at £45. But like I said before, with Glad, for example, the prices may be slightly inflated, as you can probably see there, obviously due to obviously the game week closure. So after Inter Miami, will he have a good game, bad game? Who knows? But hopefully that doesn't go any further after this video. Now this is the first pick of the midfielders. Now I've chosen a couple of players for specific reasons. Some might be really good to buy now. Some might be really good to buy in a week or two's time. This guy is probably one of them, with Caden Clark. Obviously, if you want, and if it's any use to you, he has obviously got that under 23 utility, only being 21 and having it till July 1st, 2027, which is really nice indeed. Currently £57. Again, inflated prices at the moment because of the end of the game week, but generally you're picking them up for just under £40 or there or thereabouts. And the limited, again, about £10 to £11, which again I think is fair value. We are more or less looking at the last 6 months of his season in the MLS with Montreal Impact, and yeah, 4 goals, 2 assists, and also a last man tackle clearance off the line in 8 appearances, or basically 9 appearances with that sub. Really solid, 11.8 as well. Now the reason why, okay, you might be saying, why is this that sort of guy to maybe wait a week or two, is I think they've got some difficult games, but they also, check this out as well, Minnesota away, Whitecaps away, DC United away, Nashville away, Chicago away, Columbus Crew away. So that's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games they have on the bounce away. Now, the reason to maybe look at this guy, because it's going to be a lot of traveling around the States, obviously, and in Canada as well. And yeah, it's going to be extremely hard, and they're not exactly the most easiest games in the world either. With Minnesota and Whitecaps being on, well, Minnesota I do enjoy, and I think they're good. Whitecaps on fire at the moment. DC United could get a result there potentially at Nashville, but Chicago and Columbus again going to be extremely difficult. So what I'm saying is maybe after sort of this game week or next game week, we could see this price go down by I reckon maybe, depending obviously if he scores or contributes in any way, which he obviously can still do. I can see it going down to about £8 maybe in the floor for in season. And again, if he's meant to be around this price, probably 35, 30 could be deemed fair as well. So yeah, it's obviously worth just keeping an eye out for him. But like I said, if you get him for these average prices here for 10 and for 35, yeah, about that, there or thereabouts, I think again that is fair value if you were to be able to snag him somewhere from a bot or anybody else willing to go to that average price. But yeah, again, I think a solid player nonetheless, and I think he's got a lot to prove this year as well. So yeah, hopefully one for you guys to maybe pick for your gallery. Now, one I'm deeming too cheap again in the midfield slot is going to be that of Joseph Brazales there of Minnesota United. Now, there's good reason why he's gone down in price. He is out for a couple of weeks. Now, it's not a major thing. It's just a slight knock, I believe. So, yeah, for £2.85 for in-season, and also for your rare at just £20. Again, I think, provides solid value considering the scores. Like, again, he's not, Messi levels, of course. You got obviously take it with a pinch of salt in regards to his pricing. But, yeah, for the price and what he can bring, Minnesota are going to miss him a lot in that left wing back slot. He is raved about highly by Minnesota United ultras and fans, and yeah, he's somebody who's going to be missed over the next couple of weeks. But by the time he's back, it should be, you're looking probably when he's fully fit, probably around the Real Salt Lake sort of area, which will be a nice game for him to be back, considering I think that's a team that's going to be struggling quite often this year. So yeah, again, I think £20, £3. I don't think you can go too wrong just for a short, like a short-term hold. Could potentially go down even lower once people really understand that he is not playing this weekend, and that obviously he doesn't have that tick in Sorare data. A lot of people might be lazily picking up this sort of guy and putting him in this team. So We're obviously not doing any sort of research, but again, yeah, like I said, playing at left wing back, 7 assists, 1 goal, and 1 clearance of the line. Don't worry about the red cards because I don't think he'll get too many this year. Because yeah, but again, solid player, 14.2, I should say, worth of AA as well. So yeah, I think a very solid player. Again, under 23 utility, if that brings any sort of positive to light, but only till midway this year. But yeah, guys, again, really solid, I think, for a cheaper alternative in the midfielder slot. Next player we've got here is going to be Brian Ojeda here of Real Salt Lake. £17 currently as of time of recording in the rare and limited. They're just sitting at a nice cheap £3 there. And again, for these sort of scores, I think they're really good. Obviously, you've got to take in mind RSL have lost a lot of main players, but the reason why I've sort of picked him out, and obviously people like Justin Glad, because I don't feel like they need to have basically any sort of decisive actions when it comes to being able to score quite decently. 2 goals, 4 assists in 34 games is very meh. You know, he does play the sort of CDM slot, so he is sort of that one to tidy up and push it forward. But 13.9 worth of AA is really nice. Probably goes up, yeah, 14.8 worth of AA when he starts. And looks like he was rotation in the midweeks, which obviously, again, like I stated earlier with Justin Glad, they're out of now, so it's something you do not have to worry about. But like I said, the only issue is that they've lost a lot of players. Now, will it affect him? You know, it's too early to sort of tell. Only really hitting 36 in that San Jose Earthquakes. Absolute bullying there when they lost 4-0. So, but considering he had -6 AA, you know, because of obviously the 4 goals, he didn't put up some bad AA, in my opinion. 1.2, it's not going to win you anything, of course, but you want him to start picking up these sort of scores, you know, the 100 when he does help you with a goal. Or some sort of decisive action would obviously be beneficial. But I think overall he's got some interesting games coming up. I'm going to be intrigued to see how he goes against Sounders and obviously that of San Diego. But again, with Houston and Dallas on the horizon, it could be a decent one for you to pick up in the short term. But yeah, just again, guys, to reiterate, £3 and £17 for an in-season midfielder, I think is very solid. Okay, now the final midfielder I've got here for you guys is going to be that of Jared Stroud of DC United. Now, I have a good friend of mine and someone who obviously co-hosts with me with Ellis and Detroit. It's going to be that of Sorare Jonesy. He waxes lyrical about this guy, loves this guy, and I can see why, especially for the price. Now, he is currently injured, did miss the first game, very obviously likely, as you can see there on the screen, 70% chance to be on the bench. But I think from that point onwards, from the next week, he should really be a main starter because I think they are missing him. And he's got some good scores on him. Obviously, they're not absolutely amazing and mind-boggling scores, but again, if you're looking for that cheap alternative, or just you need an extra, or your lack of midfielder slots, or someone who's maybe got some good games, because they got some good games lined up here with Sporting Kansas City and Montreal at home coming in, and it looks like he'll be there for the Sporting Kansas, so I can almost see maybe an instant impact potentially. So, but yeah, I'm really intrigued here. So yeah, you can see here forward and limited cards, or forward and rare cards. No, limited and rare cards, just to say. Limited here, you can pick them up for 90p. So yeah, I think even if you were to have them in your gallery, just to have a what if, like you've got somebody else but hasn't got a very good game or is out of form, this could be the sort of guy where you're just like, okay, well, I can pop him in here when he's got a more favourable matchup, and I feel like that's going to be a good strategy for these sort of players. Now, for the difficult bit, I always find forwards are quite difficult to be able to gauge in regards to price, because obviously they're highly inflated. Obviously, as you saw, guys, there's no goalkeepers in here because I'm not touching that with a 10-foot barge pole, because obviously they're just highly inflated because of the hot streaks. But nonetheless, you can get someone like Liel Abada here, and the former Celtic lad here for £4.80 in limited or rare for just under £24, which again, you can see here a bit of inflation, tiny bit there in limited. But yeah, nonetheless, I feel like it's fair value, or fair enough value to obviously warrant putting him on this sort of video. Look, scores wise, they're not the best. Okay, I just want to maybe push this here to just Charlotte. 7 goals, 2 assists in 23 games. Even if we were to get rid of the bench, it's 6 goals and 1 assist when he starts with 6.2 worth of AA. It's okay AA, a decent AA to be fair for a striker or a forward, I should say. But yeah, I think overall, he should do better this year. I think Charlotte look a better team this year. Obviously, they've got Wilfred Zaha, which is another key factor in their team now. He should be able to get some more assists, maybe flow around him a bit more. Agimang, at the time, also at the time recording, not that long ago, he had his call up to the US men's and was scoring goals for fun. So I have a feeling they're going to do better this year. Charlotte struggled last year for scoring goals, as well as obviously they just done really well with keeping out goals as well. So I think now that they're focusing in on the attack, it's really solid, and I'm hoping that Abada here will be a beneficiary of that. But again, guys, they're £24 in the rare, and they're just under £5 there for your potential forward for your gallery. Brian White is going to be potentially your next forward here. He's sitting at just under £10 at the moment. Again, take in mind, guys, that inflation. And also here with the rare, taking in mind the inflation again by another £10, but he's usually around 35, but currently sitting at 45. Scoring wise, again, he's a bit of an awkward player when it comes to the scoring, but I feel like again the way Vancouver seem to be recruiting, or a lot of noise about recruitment with someone like Dominic Fitz coming in potentially. Obviously they've got Gould. Yes, hopefully, and obviously Brian White as well has just signed a new contract for another couple of years as well. So it looks like he's going to be staying there. It looks like to be the main starter. So like I said, do your own research for that. But last night he scored 2 goals at home there to Saprissa to push them through to the CONCACAF Champions Cup there, or Champions League. But 18 goals, 2 assists in 37. 20 goal contributions in basically half the games. Yeah, it's not too bad. It's a goal every game. So yeah, hopefully it's going to be even better this year with Nelson being on fire. Obviously, Gould is Gould. He's just doing his thing, and potentially that of Dominic Fitz and things like that. Players of that sort of caliber potentially coming in. I can only really see it going in one way, and I'm hoping again Brian White is going to be that of a beneficiary to the Vancouver Whitecaps there. So yeah, again, solid player, and obviously for the forwards being quite inflated prices, are difficult to sort of gauge and judge the prices. But considering you're seeing other players that aren't doing as well as him or don't score as much as Brian White does in last year or previous seasons, I think there's a bit of a snippet there for your forward line. And finally, we're going to go with Prince Osei Owusu here, formerly of Toronto, has just recently moved to Montreal Impact, sitting at £9 for the limited, if you're interested in that, and also here at £33 for the in-season rare. Now, they are playing away to Minnesota this weekend, Montreal, so it could be a difficult game, but again, just like Hayden Clark, guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games on the bounce playing away. Now, scores wise, I think he actually scores okay, considering that last season it was all at Toronto and it was taking a lot of sub appearances. So what I just want to see here, if we take away his sub appearances, 6 goals, 1 assist, and also a penalty kick 1. So basically 8 decisive actions in 20. Taking in mind that's a lot of it with Toronto, and just this one start he's had at Montreal Impact where he got himself a goal and an assist, where he's going to have a lot better players, I think, around him. So, yeah, players that are going to create a lot more chances around him, like that of Caden Clark. So I feel like he's going to do a lot better this season. And again, for the pricing being that cheaper, obviously a little bit cheaper than Brian White at £9 and £33. I don't think you can go too wrong with a sort of player like this. So hopefully, yeah, it galvanise your forward line. And just before you go, guys, if you can go visit the All Around Sorare channel there on X, it'd be greatly appreciated if you go follow that. We are live streaming it basically every Monday and Thursday afternoon or evening in England and afternoon in the US. And yeah, we're just going to have a good chat. Come jump in, come see us, have a chat with us, ask us questions, build us, maybe even potentially build your lineup. So yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun there. We have had a lot of fun over the last 3-4 streams, so it'd be greatly appreciated if you guys want to go check that out. But anyway, guys, that's the end of the video. Again, like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you all when I see you. Goodbye. And just a reminder, guys, if you did enjoy this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button and also hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I upload.